We're joined now by Congressman Devin Nunes of California. Great to see you, Congressman. So,
great to be with you.
We got an indication from Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee last night late that we're not going to get witnesses in the Senate portion of this proceeding, and basically there's nothing left. There's going to be a vote. The president's going to be acquitted. So why is it continuing exactly? Do you know?
Well, they have to actually get to the point of where they actually vote to acquit, which I guess
Right.
is going to occur on Wednesday. So they had to vote on the rules for that. But I actually have some bad news for you tonight, Tucker, on Friday night. I know you don't want the bad news, but
I'm used to
the
it.
president's going to be acquitted. But the problem is this isn't going to end. Like, I just can't imagine that Adam Schiff, after 3.5 years of this nonsense, and Jerry Nadler are not going to continue this, right? They're going to go back and they're going to subpoena John Bolton. We're going to have the same exact thing that you've been seeing for the last 3.5 years. I just think you should prepare. We thought once Mueller collapsed completely, we thought, okay, we're going to get on to business. And then out of nowhere, this Ukraine hoax appeared. And look, this really is a hoax. This was Adam Schiff and his staff concocting this all together with people that all know each other. All these people know each other that concocted this stupid Ukraine hoax that we've been dealing with for the last week in the Senate. So anyway, bad news for you tonight. I bet even after the acquittal, we're going to be working on this.
So since you're an elected official and you know a lot about policy, but also politics, is there any evidence that this works? I mean, my read on it is the candidates who win are the ones that speak to the issues that people really care about. They don't care about this, demonstrably. So why are Democrats continuing to do this?
Well, I described it earlier this week as the Democratic Party is like the dog that caught the car. And now they've been promising all this crazy stuff. And now they're going to get somebody who's not even a Democrat, Bernie Sanders, as their nominee. A month ago, I would have said, nah, you know, Bernie's going to get second or third, probably not going to win. I mean, he's winning in every state, including California, which is the big prize, which is essentially a month away.
Yes.
And he's winning in Iowa. I mean, this could be, if Bernie wins on Monday night, you have an entire takeover by the extreme left of the historic Democratic Party. It's no longer going to cease to exist. It's going to be the Socialist Party.
Well, so can I ask you another political question? So this is essentially a replay of what happened with Donald Trump and the Republican Party. The establishment hated him. They tried to rig the system to prevent him from becoming the nominee, and it didn't work. The Democrats are trying the same thing. They're talking about tampering with delegates at the convention now. Will that work?
I think there's a big difference between Trump and Bernie Sanders here.
Well,
okay,
of course there is.
Trump, and I mean just in the politics of this, Bernie Sanders is a socialist. I mean, the guy spent his honeymoon in the Soviet Union.
Yes.
Right. Donald Trump had he had his own brand of politics that I think caught everybody off guard, but he does believe in a few important things, right? He's been very clear. He was against the Iraq War from the very beginning. He wants to bring the troops home as much as he can. He also wanted to redo trade deals, all things that people, including myself, were very skeptical if he could actually deliver on some of this. But I think despite all the craziness, and for 3.5 years, well, really since the end of 2015, Donald Trump and his campaign being under investigation by the feds, the Clinton campaign, the Democrats in the House, despite all of that, the guy is defying the odds. I mean, I would have never thought that we could have not only rewrote NAFTA, but actually passed it. It was one of the most popular trade agreements ever passed in the House of Representatives and the Senate. I mean, it's amazing what he's actually accomplishing.
I remember
despite everything.
Yeah, and in the end, I think that's what matters. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Tucker. Always a pleasure.